Hey YouTube, this is PrimetimePokemon. In this video, I'll be doing some Pokemon TCG online gameplay. I'll be battling with the third place deck from the Virginia Regional Championships in Roanoke. It would be a Decidueye GX Zoroark GX deck. Now in the 2019 standard format, Zoroark GX is both very popular and very good. So you'll see Zoroark GX paired with lots of different Pokemon out there. So now I'll head on over to the TCG Online, give the general strategy for the deck, and then get into battling. So here's a look at the deck that I'll be battling with in today's video. General strategy with the deck is to use Zoroark GX as the primary attacker. Riotous Beating, if you have a full bench, can do 120 damage per turn. Of course, you want to have multiple Zoroark GX set up so that you can utilize its trade ability. Discard one from your hand and draw two cards. A card that works very well with the trade ability would be Magcargo. Its Smooth Over ability allows you to search your deck for one card and put it on the top of your deck. So first you use Smooth Over and then you use Trade. Now a very important card to getting Stage 2 Pokemon set up would be Alolan Ninetales GX. Mysterious Guidance allows you to go and get 2 item cards from your deck when you evolve Alolan Vulpix into Alolan Ninetales. So you're seeing a lot more Stage 2 decks out there just because of this card. Plus, if you're facing an Ultra Beast type deck, Sublimation GX just knocks out your opponent's active Ultra Beast. And then the Decidueye GX here, Feather Arrow, helps soften up your opponent's Pokemon so that you can knock the Pokemon out in one turn with Zoroark GX. There are lots of one-of cards in this deck, like a Larvitar, for example, and then lots of trainer cards. This is for Smooth Over. You can get whatever card you want into your hand with Magcargo, plus for trading away the cards you do not need with Zoroark GX. As far as the energy cards go, 3 Fairy Energy, 1 Rainbow Energy, and then 4 Double Colorless. So let's head on over to Versus and see what's out there. There are lots of different variants of Decidueye GX decks out there. This would be the one that I prefer. I have been seeing lots of Shrine of Punishment decks out there lately. I lost the coin flip, so I'll probably be going second. That is the case. A decent start here. I'll get 2 Alolan Vulpix into play. I have Timer Ball in hand for next turn. Professor Elm's Lecture for the first turn, as long as my hand is not modified in any way. Alolan Beacon, Alolan Vulpix, Beacon. A great move. So this is a Zoroark GX deck, but then they have Weavile set up on the bench. 2 different Weavile cards out there that are both pretty good. So this isn't a Shrine of Punishment deck by any means. They have Lycanroc GX, or at least they will have Lycanroc GX set up. I could hopefully draw into the Enhanced Hammer and get rid of the Double Colorless already. Zoroark GX can be paired with pretty much anything out there because it can be used as a primary attacker or just on the bench for its trade ability. So there's a Rowlet. I am going to use the Professor Elm's Lecture. I could even use Guzma and then put up something my opponent doesn't want in the active spot. But both of these have a 1 colorless energy retreat cost, so they could just attach from hand and retreat, and then attack with Zoroark GX. So I think the best method here would be to use Professor Elm's Lecture, go and get at least 1 Zorua. What else do I have here? Alolan Vulpix, the Ditto Prism Star I'm going to get for the Magcargo. What else do I have over here? As far as the energy cards go, looking good. So I will get all of those Pokemon on my bench. Now whenever I face a Tapu Koko Flying Flip deck, it always hurts a little bit putting all these basic Pokemon on my bench. So I can use Timer Ball here I'm going to hold off on that just to reduce the size of my hand and make sure my opponent doesn't want to let loose me or anything. So I will use Beacon here, and I'm going to go and get 2 Zoroark GX. And then my opponent will have a shot at attacking here. They can knock out the Alolan Vulpix in the active. That's alright. That gives me an open bench space. 2 copies of Tapu Lele GX that I could use to go and get a supporter. Now they are going to move up probably the Ditto Prism Star or the Rowlet. The Rowlet and knock it out. So that one hurts a little bit more. Now I can't use Rare Candy on the Ditto Prism Star. That's just softening them up. And of course my opponent is using Judge, so I was hoping to avoid that. Now I may be in some trouble. There's Cynthia, that helps out. The energy doesn't do much. No Ultra Beast over here. Lycanroc, of course, does have a very good GX attack. It does do damage for the number of bench Pokemon that I have, and I have a full bench, one off of a full bench now. So I am going to hope to attack with Zoroark GX. So there's the Decidueye. Would have been nice if I had my previous hand. Just going to have to use Cynthia and hope for some luck in what I draw. Well, I can go and get 2 item cards. I can also get a Zoroark GX, which I am going to do. I'm going to get rid of the Professor Elm's Lecture and probably the Decidueye GX. I have 3 in the deck. Go to get the Zoroark. Go like so. And then I am going to evolve 1 Alolan Vulpix into Alolan Ninetales. Go and get a Timer Ball, is what I'm going to do. Timer Ball and an Enhanced Hammer. So see what I get with the Timer Ball first. There's 1, there's 2. I'm going to get a Zoroark and a Magcargo, so I am set up for next turn. Still didn't get the energy that I wanted, but I could do that now with Smooth Over. Really don't want to discard the Field Blower, but I'm going to have to. I'm going to go like this and remove that double colorless. Then I'm going to Smooth Over for a double colorless energy. Way back here. I'll only be able to do 100, but if I get another basic Pokemon next turn, I'll be able to knock out Zoroark. So now I'm going to trade away the Field Blower. Maybe I'll get another Pokemon that I can put on the bench right here. Rare Candy, so I'm going to go like this. I could trade away the Rare Candy, but I'm going to hold off on that. Riotous Beating here, do 100 damage. Next turn I should be able to knock out Zoroark GX. My opponent only has 5 cards now. They can trade, of course. If they have a Guzma, they could knock out something with Lycanroc GX, but they would need a Choice Band. Or what does the Alolan Ninetales have? It has an HP of 200, so they could knock out the Alolan Ninetales. Close game so far, and a lot of times in these mirror type decks, both of the primary Pokemon for the decks here would be Zoroark GX. Whoever wins the coin flip wins the game a lot of times. I am very intrigued with Alolan Ninetales GX and Buzzwole GX. 2017-2018 standard format, Buzzwole GX, Lycanroc GX was my favorite deck. They're probably going to knock out the Alolan Ninetales with the GX attack on Lycanroc. They're going to let loose. They need a fighting energy to perform Dangerous Rogue. If not, I can probably trade at least one more time. They must not have got a fighting energy with the let loose. And there is a unit energy, I believe, so they can knock out the Alolan Ninetales. So this might be a loss for myself. I can't even knock out Lycanroc here. I am going to promote the Alolan Ninetales and then just hopefully knock out this Zoroark. So what I want to do here is I could evolve Alolan Vulpix into Alolan Ninetales. I do not have any Rowlet in play. It's a little bit risky, but I think I am going to go like this. Ultra Ball, get rid of the Counter Gain and the Larvitar. Go and get a Rowlet. And unfortunately, I am going to have to get rid of the Alolan Ninetales here. I have 2 only in the deck, so that's a bit of a problem. I have not used a Rescue Stretcher, however. So I am going to smooth over here is what I can do, and I need to get another basic Pokemon on the bench. I'm going to go and get another Rowlet is what I'm going to do. So smooth over for the Rowlet. And then I'm going to trade away the Alolan Ninetales. And then I can smooth over next turn for a Rescue Stretcher if I like. So there's that. I have a full bench now. Guzma up the Zoroark here. And then knock it out. Take 2 prize cards. You know what? Let's trade one more time. I don't need this Professor Elm's lecture anymore. So there's a rare candy. That helps a little bit. So Riotous Beating. Knock out the Zoroark GX. And then Lycanroc can do 110, I believe. There's a double colorless and an Ultra Ball. 110. Yep, with Claw Slash. Unfortunately, Zoroark is weak to fighting type Pokemon, so that is an easy knockout. So it may have been a better play to do damage to the Lycanroc and then be able to knock it out, but my opponent has another Rockruff set up on the bench. So I guess overall, even though this is somewhat of a mirror type deck, because Zoroark is weak to Lycanroc, my opponent does have an advantage. Now they have 2 Zoroark. They have 1 Zoroark in play that's set up, and then the Lycanroc GX that's set up. So there's the knockout there. They go down to 1 prize card. There's really not anything I can do here, so it is going to be a loss. I can get a Decidueye out there. I can go like this as well. And unfortunately, I am going to have to get rid of the... Let's do this. Let's smooth over first for the Rescue Stretcher if I have it. I do have it. I just passed it. There we go. Get rid of the Guzma with trade. There's the Rescue Stretcher plus a Counter Catcher. So I'm going to use Rescue Stretcher. Yeah, well played. Yep, it is a loss for myself. I'm going to go and get the Alolan Ninetales GX. And then I'm going to get a Timer Ball for sure. There is a Timer Ball plus another rare candy. So I am going to use Timer Ball. There's 1. There's 2. There we go. So 2 Decidueye. I can do 40 damage there. I still can't knock out the Lycanroc. I'm 10 damage short, I believe. So let's rare candy here. A little bit too late for the setup in the first game here. There's 1. And there's 2. Is there anything else that I can do? I can trade 1. Does it make any sense to use the counter catcher? Probably not. Like I said, it's just disappointing that I can't knock out the Lycanroc, because right now Zoroark can only do 100 damage, 130, 150, 170. Even if it had more damage, it'd still be short. 10 short like I thought. If that is the case, I am going to just put the Zoroark GX here, then they would just be able to retreat. I'm really just delaying the end of the game. So let's put up the Rockruff. And then I'll just get a knockout here. It's not going to matter what I do, so then I am going to do damage to the Lycanroc. Soften it up a bit, and then get the knockout on Rockruff. Get a prize card, but my opponent will just be able to knock me out with the Lycanroc, just because I could not knock out anything that I desperately needed to with the Zoroark GX. So I was 10 short. So a good game to my opponent there. They did have an advantage over this deck because Zoroark GX is weak to fighting type Pokemon. That's why you see the Solgaleo GX being used sometimes. Its ability makes your Pokemon have no weakness. So let's play another battle here, game 2. That one was a close one. I was coming back in the end, finally getting 2 Decidueye GX set up. But that early judge really hurt my strategy going forward. Let's go Tails here. I saw a fire type energy in my opponent's deck there. So I'm going to have to start with the Tapu Lele. Not a good start, but I do have Professor Elm's Lecture in hand and a Guzma. Who knows if I'll actually go to battle turn 1 with this hand. I guess not a fire energy in my opponent's deck there, but some fire type Pokemon. This looks to be a... Ooh, and my opponent just passed. This looks to be a Swampert deck with Alolan Ninetales GX. I am probably going to use the Professor Elm's Lecture to get some things set up. I'd like to go like that. Do I have any other options? The Alolan Vulpix would be nice to get set up. Let's do that. One of each. Magcargo would be useful as well. What does the energy situation look like? Pretty decent. We'll go like that. Get things out there. I'll put an energy on the Alolan Vulpix. No double colorless yet. And then just pass. My opponent may have Alolan Ninetales GX in hand, and then they can... Ooh, they are quickly attacking with Beacon, so if I was able to get Judge, that would be really helpful. They're going for Swampert and Alolan Vulpix, so they must have a rare candy in hand, I would think. There's a double colorless energy, so this is decent here. I can knock out the Mudkip right away. Foil my opponent's plans. So let's Guzma up the Mudkip. Unfortunately, just like last game, Zoroark GX is weak to fighting type Pokemon. Rhyhorn can't do much. I could trade away something. I'm going to hold off on that for now. Let's do Riotous Beating and knock out the Mudkip there. Delay my opponent a turn. Timer Ball's useful there. I can go and get the Alolan Ninetales if I get a heads on one of the 2 coin flips, and then get rare candy. To get Decidueye GX in play, that really helps, especially with my opponent's Pokemon so far. So they're going to remove a double colorless with Faba. And they're going to Beacon again. So a slow start from my opponent there. They just don't have much. So far it looks like I should be 1-1. Chikorita they're getting into their hand now. So there's a Judge. That is what I'm going to use, more than likely. At this point in time, I would have loved to have had Magcargo set up. Let's use Timer Ball. There we go. There we have the Alolan Ninetales GX, and then I can get the Decidueye. Start softening up my opponent's Pokemon. I need that double colorless energy in hand, however. I'll go and search for the Rare Candy and a Timer Ball. Does that make sense? Rare Candy makes sense. Counter Gain, not so much. What does my opponent have for energy? No energy in play. It really doesn't matter what the second one would be, just because I'm going to use Judge, hoping for that double colorless. So choose a stage 2, evolve into Decidueye. Let's start softening up the Rhyhorn, is what I'm going to do. So I am going to Feather Arrow the Rhyhorn. And then I could trade here. Let me Judge first. It hurts my opponent, hopefully. Did not get anything that I really needed. One more trade opportunity. I'll put down another Rowlet. And then I'm going to trade away the Professor Elm's Lecture. There we go. The double colorless. That is the reason that Zoroark GX is so popular. It really helps get the exact Pokemon you need into your hand, or the exact card. Take another knockout there. 4 prize cards remaining. Cynthia, there we go. That worked out. If I was able to get all 3 Decidueye GX set up, and they're going to use Faba again. So I don't know if this is some type of stall deck. I would assume it is, because I have not seen any attacks so far. 2 more Chikorita. There's a Rainbow Energy. I'm going to continue to soften up the Rhyhorn over here. How many double colorless have I used? I move those to the lost zone. 2. I have 4 in the deck. I could also attack with Snowy Wind. That might be the play. If I had another Decidueye GX set up, I could actually win the game right here. So I am going to Guzma up the Rhyhorn and attack with the Alolan Ninetales. I'm going to put a Rainbow Energy on it. And then I can use Snowy Wind. First, I am going to Feather Arrow once here. I am going to trade away the Zoroark GX. Rare Candy? No. So I'm going to have to hold off there. I'm just going to be able to knock out the defending Pokemon and do a fair amount of damage on Alolan Vulpix there. So there's another Rowlet, a card that I can discard. If my opponent doesn't get any Pokemon on their bench, they have Chikorita in hand. 2 Chikorita there. Are they finally going to evolve into Alolan Ninetales? Maybe they prize their Alolan Ninetales. And if they had Counter Gain in their deck, they could just attack right away. Do 70 damage with Snowy Wind, just like I did. But they're going to use Beacon again, I believe. 70 HP on Chikorita. Mudkip and Swampert, so I did ruin my opponent's strategy knocking out that Mudkip early. So there's an Acerola. If I had another Alolan Vulpix set up, I could Acerola this one out, and then I could quickly set up the second Decidueye GX. So here, I am going to start attacking the Chikorita on the bench. I could trade away the Rowlet. There's a double colorless that I can attach to the Zoroark. Probably have another Faba, however. And then I am going to use Cynthia, hoping for that rare candy, and then some way to get Decidueye. I could put another Zoro out there, I think I am going to, so I can trade twice per turn. Counter gain doesn't do much, so I'm just going to knock out the Alolan Vulpix, and then do 30 damage to Chikorita. It actually makes more sense to do it to this one, because I can knock out either next turn with Snowy Wind. So let's do that. Snowy Wind here. And I want to attack the undamaged Chikorita. Rare candy, there we go. So I can get 2 Decidueye GX set up now and do 40 damage per turn to my opponent's Pokemon. There's a rare candy, so they're going to get Meganium into play here. What does Meganium do? So they can go and get Swampert set up already. Weak to grass type Pokemon. And now I may be in some trouble. I need to start attacking with Zoroark GX. I do not have Guzma. And they're just going to end their turn. I don't know if they're trying to stall or what. They haven't done any attacks other than Beacon. Just the one copy of Judge in the deck. So I do not have any other ways to modify my opponent's hand. I could actually knock out Meganium here with Zoroark GX. I could just retreat the Alolan Ninetales and then knock out Meganium by doing 120, and I would need to Feather Arrow once. But let's get the second Decidueye GX set up. I could counter Catcher. I can't counter Catcher right now because I'm way ahead in the prize count. So I think I am going to trade a couple of times to see if I get a Guzma. I've used 2, I have 3 in the deck. So let's trade away the counter catcher and the counter gain. It will be a sorry state if I start having to use those. Do not want to do that. I want to trade away the counter gain. Plenty of cards left in my deck. So there's a timer ball. So I am going to just retreat this for the Zoroark. Soften up the Meganium once with Feather Arrow. And then use the other Feather Arrow on Chikorita. And then I can knock out the Meganium here. I can also Cynthia. I really do not need anything too badly. I want to get a Guzma in hand, however, so I'll go for it. So there's a Magcargo, Timer Ball, Rescue Stretcher. I have a full bench, all GX Pokemon. So Riotous Beating, I'll take that back. I'll put a Fairy type energy there, and then I can use Riotous Beating. Down to 1 prize card here. I can for sure knock out the Chikorita, so it's game over. Unless my opponent evolves Chikorita, which they could. They have plenty of cards in their hand. Regardless, I can still knock out the Swampert because I can do 40 damage to it with Feather Arrow and then 120 with Riotous Beating. So it's game over. My opponent knows that. Let's do one more. So 1 and 1. Sort of a strange stall type deck from my opponent there. Did not get the Magcargo set up. Really didn't need it in that game. That is something like the Leafeon Gx deck that I was using previously. It would struggle against a deck like the one that I was just facing because you have to move so many energy to the lost zone just to get 1 prize card. 1 and 1 so far. Let's see if we can make it a winning video here. 2 and 1 overall. Searching for an opponent. Last night I was playing on my iPad around midnight. It was New Year's Eve. I don't know if many people were playing at that time. It took forever to try and find an opponent. Searching, looking for opponent. I don't know how long it'll take here. And I have had some issues with the Pokemon TCG online lately. Plus, I think there was supposed to be some maintenance today. I've had that happen where I'll be right in the middle of a battle and then it will just abruptly kick me out. And I do know at the Dork Den there, the gaming store that I go to, they will be having some pre-release events for Team Up. I definitely plan on going to those. They'll also be having a League Challenge, I believe a week before that set is slated for release. Team Up should really change the standard format. Now, I have been talking to a friend of mine that is very competitive, and he thinks that for the most competitive players that Team Up won't change the metagame that much, just because if a tag team card is knocked out, a player gets 3 prize cards instead of 1. That would be a huge blow to a deck. So those decks that are based around those tag team cards really have some bad luck going against them if one of those Pokemon is knocked out. They only need to get, an opponent would only need to get 2 knockouts to win the game. So if your opponent gets something set up very quickly, it could be a quick loss for a deck that includes those type of cards. So it is running very slowly here. I'll just keep trying to fill the time talking here. Talking to myself, it looks like a Volcanion deck box. I certainly do miss that Volcanion EX deck. Power up there, discard a fire energy from your hand, and it would increase damage when attacking. The tournament director there at the Dork Den, Anthony, that was his favorite deck from the previous standard format, Volcanion EX. I do prefer the simpler type of decks. Normally I don't play with decks like Zoroark GX just because there's so much going on, and in a limited amount of time there is a very easy chance of making a mistake. So it is taking a very long time to get things set up here. I think I may have to exit out of the Pokemon TCG online and go back in, so you'll see a cut in the video here, and then we'll go to the third battle. So I'm back into the TCG online, hoping to find an opponent. I know there is some maintenance going on. It still says that now. So we'll wait. Hopefully we'll be able to find a third match, and we quickly did. It would be a Darkness Fighting Colorless Psychic type deck. So Darkness probably means Zoroark GX. Lost the coin flip again. Disappointing. And my opponent goes first. Zoroark is on the deck box. I have 2 Alolan Vulpix out there, so hopefully I can quickly get my Rowlet set up into Decidueye. I put those 2 Alolan Vulpix out there just in case one gets knocked out. And then I'll be able to still get... So this is the same deck that I battled in the first battle there. Zoroark GX is the most powerful attacker in the deck, and it is weak to fighting type Pokemon. I'll draw another card here for my opponent's mulligan. So no surprise there, Zoroark. Zoroark GX, Lycanroc GX. Let's see if I can do a little bit better this time around. I really need 3 Decidueye set up on the bench to do 60 damage, and then I can more easily knock out Lycanroc GX. If I was to get 3 on the bench, I could do 60 damage, put a Choice Band on Zoroark GX, and then I could knock out that Lycanroc in 1 turn. So they did not put any Rockruff down turn 1. I think my only option here would be to go and get a Tapu Lele GX. I also could discard those 2 Yeah, I think that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get the Tapu Lele GX, and then I'm going to use Wonder Tag for Lily to get 5 new cards. Not the greatest of start there. Do I have Lily? Yes, I do. 1. Just because I already have 2 Alolan Vulpix in play, now I have to put a Tapu Lele GX down. Still don't have any Zoroark on my bench. No way to get one already. So not a good start there. I can use Beacon. I'm going to go for the... That's fine. I'm going to go for a... What do I have in my hand? I'm going to go for the Alolan Ninetales and a Decidueye. Now if my opponent has Judge or Marshadow Let Loose, it would be a great time to use it. There's a Ditto Prism Star, Timer Ball, so they could get 2 Zoroark GX right here. There's 1, and there's 2. Uh-oh, not good at all. Now do they have a double colorless energy? They probably do. Ooh, they're going to go and get a supporter. Lily or Cynthia more than likely. Maybe they have a Judge. And they do have a Judge. That one hurts because I could get the Decidueye GX set up. If not, I'll just use Beacon again this coming turn. There's a Ditto Prism Star. I think I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to use the Ultra Ball and go and get a Zoroark and use Beacon again. So I'll put down the Ditto Prism Star. I'll have a full bench after this turn. Ooh, that helped. So now I really do not have to do that. I am going to Field Blow away something. Should I use it now or later? I'm going to use it later. I am actually just going to Cynthia everything back in and draw 6 new cards. So there's a Zoroark finally. I can put a double colorless energy on it. And then I am going to Beacon for the same Pokemon as before. The Alolan Ninetales GX and a Decidueye GX. I can get Zoroark GX next turn with the Ultra Ball. So let's Beacon for the Decidueye GX, Alolan Ninetales GX. With that Alolan Ninetales GX, I'll get a Rare Candy and a Timer Ball. So this is almost an identical deck as first game. There is Weavile. What Weavile do they have? Spread damage Weavile. 50 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon that has an ability. Oh, so it isn't the spread damage. It just does major damage. Right now it would do 100 damage. But as soon as I get Alolan Ninetales and Zoroark GX into play, it's going to do a lot more damage. There's the Lycanroc GX. What are they going to switch up? The Rowlet. They're just going to knock out the Rowlet more than likely. And of course the last card in their hand would be Cynthia. Two trade opportunities if they don't have a double colorless. Now they're going to potentially get a Weavile. They did not. They were just using it to get rid of cards, I think, giving them a better chance at a double colorless, and they must have gotten it. Now Rowlet will be knocked out. I can counter catcher something up if I'd like. So I will put up the Zoroark. There's the Zoroark. Magcargo here. Now does it make sense to actually use Alolan Ninetales? Probably not. I am going to get rid of this Field Blower now. And then I am going to smooth over for Cynthia and then just get 6 new cards. I could also use Judge, but with 2 Zoroark GX in play, they can just get whatever cards they'd like. So I'm going to trade away the Ultra Ball. There's the Cynthia that I was hoping for. It would be nice to get a counter catcher. I am going to put another Zoroark down, which is going to hurt. I would like Rowlet to soften up my opponent's Pokemon, but I think I'm going to hold off on that. And then I am going to just use Riotous Beating. I think this is another loss for myself. That Judge really hurt. May have to play one more game. I'm going to be 1-2 after this game, and hopefully I don't have any more issues trying to find an opponent. That is the Pokemon that I would have liked to knock out, the Lycanroc, just because Zoroark is weak to it. I can't even soften it up because I don't have any Rowlet in play or Decidueye GX. I will be able to knock out my opponent's Zoroark GX before they knock me out. Have I used the Enhanced Hammer yet? Does not look like it. I don't know why my opponent did this move. They must be using Guzma, I would think. Oh, and they must have already used a supporter. So, what can I do right now? Let's use Timer Ball. Try to get another Zoroark GX out there. There it is. And then I am going to smooth over for the Enhanced Hammer or the... What would be better here, Enhanced Hammer or Guzma? Let's see if I have either of those. I would actually like both, like I said. I actually like Counter Catcher and Enhanced Hammer. I do not have the Enhanced Hammer, so I can use the Counter Catcher. I'm going to get rid of probably the Professor Elm's Lecture. So let's trade away the Professor Elm's Lecture. I'm going to knock out the Zoroark, like so. If I had that Enhanced Hammer, then my opponent couldn't use Claw Slash or Dangerous Rogue next turn. Well, I might as well trade again. Trade away the Decidueye. And then I can start putting energy on an Alolan Vulpix. And then I'm going to get 2 prize cards, hopefully the Enhanced Hammer, but it is going to be a turn too late. Guzma and Tapu Lele. Guzma will be useful. I would assume my opponent has a double colorless in hand. If not, all they need would be another energy to use Dangerous Rogue. They must not. And maybe they don't realize that Zoroark is weak to fighting type Pokemon. What can Weavile do right now? There's the Devoured Field that increases the damage that Zoroark can do. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there is the knockout with Weavile since this Devoured Field is out there. So my opponent's going to be able to go down to 3 prize cards. Just a little too late again for this deck. And my opponent does have the huge advantage with Lycanroc. So I'm going to have to smooth over for the double colorless, knock out the Weavile. If I had the Decidueye GX set up, I could soften up Weavile once with Feather Arrow, then attack with Snowy Wind, plus do damage to something like Lycanroc GX on the bench. So right now I am going to have to smooth over for the double colorless. and then get rid of the Professor Elm's lecture. There's the double colorless. How many Rowlet do I have there? 1 and 1, so I could get a Rowlet set up if I'd like. I think I am going to do that. Gonna get rid of the rare candy. I only need the 1. So there's a Rowlet. Like so. Next turn I'll be able to get that Decidueye GX. I will be able to knock out the Weavile here. Do not need that Professor Elm's lecture. Now if my opponent has another darkness type energy, and they must not, they're just going to go for the knockout with Lycanroc GX. 1 prize card remaining, so it should be pretty easy for my opponent to win this battle. Mallow is a great supporter to use in combination with Zoroark GX. So there's no real way for me to win this game, unfortunately. So the Lycanroc Zoroark GX is superior to the Decidueye GX Zoroark GX deck, for sure. 0 for 2 against this deck in this video. One more battle after this one, otherwise it will be a losing video overall. Best I can do now would be a 500 record for the day. Recycling cards back into their deck. And that is one reason that I've stayed away from Zoroark GX, is that it does take 2 attacks to knock out most GX Pokemon. So here the choice would be to attack with Alolan Ninetales. I could also counter Catcher. Let's first do this. I want to go like that, Rescue Stretcher and a Choice Band. So I'm going to Rescue Stretcher the Decidueye. There we are. Rare Candy. And they still haven't used their GX attack, which will knock out Alolan Ninetales. So it's pretty much game over unless I can promote something, which I can, Counter Catcher, and my opponent can't retrieve their active Pokemon from the active spot. So I'm going to put the Choice Band there. I'm going to Counter Catcher up the Zoroark GX. And then I am going to soften up the... Let's do the Lycanroc. I don't think it's going to matter at this point. I could Magcargo something like a Cynthia if I'd like. I need an energy. I don't have any way to actually get anything into my hand. So I'm going to try and do this. How many Tapu Lele have I used? So I have 2 total in the deck. I have used both. So there's not really any way to get anything that I want into my hand. I'll have to go like this. Smooth over for the Cynthia. I could also use Judge. Smooth over for the Cynthia. And then I'm just going to have to pass. It's pretty much game over. If my opponent has Guzma, which they should, with all of those cards in their hand, and they do have Guzma, so this is another loss for myself. Not much you can do when Zoroark GX is weak to Lycanroc GX. And then I wasn't able to get the Decidueye GX out there very quickly. That is the trouble, putting 2 Alolan Vulpix out there plus the Tapu Lele GX. Let's see if I can find an opponent this time. So unfortunately I was not able to find another matchup. Maintenance still underway, so I'll try to hop back in here and have a 4th battle. It would have been a nice opponent too, because it was a Blacephalon GX Naganadel deck. At least that's what I thought from the types. Firegrass, Colorless, and Darkness. So no fighting this time. It won't be a Lycanroc GX Zoroark GX deck. Could be a Zoroark GX deck. I did lose the coin flip, no surprise there. It seems to be a grass type deck by my opponent's deck box there. Have to put Rowlet in the active, have to Guzma that out. Or I could just discard a Fairy Energy and hopefully use Beacon turn 1. What are we facing? Some type of Leafeon GX deck? So Magcargo they want to get set up on the bench. What does Leafeon do? And they are going to judge me turn 1. So it looks like there's some errors going on with the TCG online. So there's a look at Leafeon GX. Well, at least turn 1 here I can use Professor Elm's Lecture. So this is a Leafeon GX Zoroark GX deck. So I will use Professor Elm's Lecture, get one Zoroark out there. I haven't used Larvitar yet. I could. Put that back probably for now. I think I'm going to go like that. If I had an energy, then I could retreat that Rowlet, and I do not. So I'll go like that. At least I can trade next turn. So I'll have to pass. Rowlet is probably going to get knocked out. Breath of the Leaves can heal damage from Pokemon, the ability on Leafeon. 200 HP on Leafeon GX. So it will definitely take 2 attacks to knock out. At least I will have the Smooth Over Instruct abilities set up for next turn. They have 2 Leafeon GX already set up in play. So they may be just trying to heal their own Pokemon and not knock out anything of my opponents. That looks to be the case so far. They're using Granbloom GX. And what does that do? For each of your bench Pokemon, search your deck for a card that evolves. So they can quickly set up their bench. And they can't do anything with the Ditto Prism Star, I don't believe. Counter Gain doesn't do much right now, so let's evolve the Ditto Prism Star into Magcargo. Get the Zoroark like so. Now, I have the Rare Candy in hand, so I could go and get a Decidueye and already start attacking something like Ditto. I would need a Guzma, a double colorless energy, so it may be best just to smooth over here for a supporter. Let's see what we can do. I could actually go and get the Alolan Ninetales GX, give me 2 more. I think that is what I'm going to do. Give me 2 more item cards and potentially give me an opportunity to do more damage. Counter Gain I don't need. So now, I could use Alolan Ninetales there. I could then go get a Rare Candy and a Timer Ball, for example. I think that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go like this, Rare Candy and a Timer Ball. And then I could always use the Ultra Ball to go and get a Tapu Lele. Still haven't used Rare Candy and a Timer Ball. Still haven't used a supporter this turn. Let's use Timer Ball first. Probably get 2 tails. There's 1 tails. There's 1 heads. So I can get the Decidueye set up. Now I'm going to go and get a Tapu Lele, I believe. Should have 2. And I do. And then I'll go and get Lily if I have it. Otherwise, Cynthia. So there's an Acerola. Can't use that. Could use Judge. My opponent only has 3 cards anyways. I will Lily. Not bad there. Get an energy on the Alolan Ninetales. Have another Tapu Lele that I'm not going to use. But I don't think I want to get another Zoroark set up yet because I'd have to get rid of either a Fairy Energy or a Cynthia. I want to keep that Zoroark. I do have... Ooh, and it looks like a quick flip from my opponent, a Scoop. So let's play one more. This will be a pretty long video. 500 right now, I believe. 2 and 2. With so many cuts in the video because of the issues with the Pokemon TCG online. My memory may be off a bit. So 2 and 2 so far. Let's make it a winning video here, winning this final battle. So it still looks like I'm having the maintenance issues, so I'm having to close out of the TCG online, open it up, and then try for another battle. So hopefully I can find an opponent quickly here and make this a winning video. Looks to be the case, a Dragon Psychic type deck. Let's see if I can finally win a coin flip. Lost it again, no surprise. I guess that just gives me the opportunity to use Beacon turn 1, which I can. Should I try and get Larvitar set up? Possibly. It would have been useful against the Zoroark GX that I've seen. Put that out there. Rowlet and Ditto Prism Star. Plus I have the Professor Elm's Lecture. No Zorua yet. I'll get that with the Professor Elm's Lecture. And then Timer Ball I'll have for next turn. So this is an Ultra Necrozma Malamar deck more than likely. 190 HP, which is better than Necrozma GX. It does 180 normally. 210 with a Choice Band. Strategy here is, ooh, and this is also a Giratina deck. Strategy with Malamar decks is to accelerate energy into play with Psychic Recharge. First get the Psychic Energy into the discard pile. And Giratina here can spread damage around. You can move it directly from the discard pile there. Spell Tag is also useful with Giratina. So a good turn 1 for my opponent. What is Ultra Necrozma weak to? Fairy type. So that is an advantage for myself. I could knock it out with Alolan Ninetales with a Choice Band in one attack. In that case, I think I am going to put 2 Zorua and then 1 Alolan Ninetales. And then next turn I could get a lot of this stuff set up. Especially with Timer Ball and Beacon. Now I am risking here the bench spot for Tapu Lele. Let's see. I'm going to save that Timer Ball just in case I get let loose. So I will attach an energy, however. And then I will Beacon for... I for sure want a Zoroark. And then the Alolan Ninetales. For sure. I would assume that my opponent is going to modify my hand. Hopefully I will draw into a Cynthia or an Alolan Ninetales or a Zoroark GX. So far, this does look like it will be a good game for myself, a win, especially since the Ultra Necrozma is weak to Fairy-type Pokemon, and it's in the active Pokemon spot. My opponent can knock out Alolan Vulpix right here. So they're getting 2 Malamar set up. Psychic Recharge allows you to move that Psychic Energy from the discard to your bench Pokemon. They could pull Giratina out of the discard pile at any time. That is what Distortion Door does. And that is what they're going to do. So 20 damage to, I think 10 damage to each of my bench, or at least 2 Pokemon there on my bench, 10 damage to each. Now I potentially could use the counter gain and attack with Alolan Ninetales GX for only 1 energy, knocking out the Ultra Necrozma if they knock out the Alolan Vulpix right here. So they did use Cynthia. They still could use Marshadow Let Loose. Have they discarded any? No. Chimico they have discarded. Bell of Silence is interesting. And they are going to scoop there. So let's do one more. I may have to cut the video as well. I was pretty confident in that matchup that I would win. So win streak of 2. Let's see. There we go. It finally is fixed. So what is the matchup? Colorless, Grass, Psychic, and Fire. Can I win a coin flip? Yes, I can. And of course, I take a mulligan right away. Not exactly sure what my opponent is playing yet. I was going to say there's 2 mulligans, but I'm able to play this Alolan Vulpix. Cynthia is what I'll probably use. I don't like putting Tapu Lele GX down on the bench in this particular deck just because you want to have lots of bench spots for the basic Pokemon you can evolve. Tapu Koko is a problem because the more bench Pokemon that I play, the more damage that Flying Flip can do, and then if they have something like Magical Swap or Damage Mover, they can knock out a bunch of Pokemon at once. I think the only option here is to Cynthia. I don't want to get rid of the rare candy. I could, just because I can search them out with Alolan Ninetales. So I think I am going to just guarantee a Zoroark on the bench. How many rare candy do I have? Would be 2. I really only need the rare candy for the Decidueye GX. I only have 3 rare candy total in the deck. Cynthia here. There's a Decidueye, there's a Counter Catcher, there's another Zoroark. The more basic bench Pokemon I put on the bench, the more that Flying Flip can do. At least the Alolan Vulpix won't be knocked out. And then I can hopefully start attacking with Zoroark GX next turn. Shaman over here. What does Shaman do? Rally Back would be the attack on this card that is good, 120. If I knock out one of my opponent's Pokemon. Professor Kukui, now if they have, I think it's called Electro Power, they can knock out the Alolan Vulpix right here. Because Flying Flip would do 40 damage right now. They're not going to be able to knock out the Alolan Vulpix. Close, however. There's a Judge. I'm going to have to use that. I'm going to be able to soften up some of my opponent's Pokemon. Probably the... If I could attack with the Zoroark GX, I could knock out the Tapu Koko in 1 turn. I would need 2 more bench Pokemon, however. I'm going to save using Feather Arrow until I use Judge. At the very least, I'll just use Beacon again and take a knockout. So there's a Timer Ball, that's useful, and the Enhanced Hammer is useful. Counter Gain, not of any use right now. So let's use the Timer Ball, would love to get 2 heads. 1, so I will just get the Alolan Ninetales. That way, I can go and get another Timer Ball. I can actually go and get 2 Timer Balls if I'd like. Plus, the Alolan Vulpix will not be knocked out. So I will get the Timer Ball. And another Timer Ball. I don't have 2. So I want to go and get... My opponent probably isn't using any GX Pokemon. I am going to go and get the Counter Catcher just to save in hand. I think that is what I'm going to do. I could have gotten another Ultra Ball to get a second Zoroark GX set up. If I don't get at least 2 heads here. There I do get 2 heads. So both Zoroark set up. Now I can start trading away things. Counter gain. I really could trade away either of these. So there's another Rowlet. I think I am going to get that set up. And then I am going to trade away the second choice band. There's a Field Blower. That will be useful. Let's see. I'm going to just Feather Arrow the Tapu Koko here because I may have to use Guzma next turn. Now that is all I can do. Field Blower will be nice if they put out Shrine of Punishment. For sure I can do 100 damage next per turn. There's the Shrine of Punishment. I can knock out the Slugma or the Shaman. They're using Professor Kukui again to do 20 more damage when attacking. And they can just attack with the Tapu Koko. So they're able to do quite a bit. The Field Blower is useful now. I still am going to remove the Shrine of Punishment, I believe. It can instruct for 2 cards. So Acerola actually might come in handy right now. There's a Fairy type energy. At the very least, Tapu Koko can do 50 damage to Alolan Ninetales. I don't think they'll knock it out unless they have another Kukui. I am going to just go like this though. Like that, and discard both of those. And then I am going to Zoroark Riotous Beating. Right now, it can do 100 damage. I'm going to trade a couple of times, so I could get another basic Pokemon. So I could knock out anything over here. I think I'm going to knock out the Slugma. It would make sense to also knock out the Tapu Koko. I have used my only enhanced hammer, so let's do this. I'm going to knock out the Tapu Koko just to prevent my opponent from having another attacker in play. So now I would need to trade away and hopefully get another basic Pokemon. Not yet. I still can soften up with Feather Arrow, so it's not too big of a deal. Trade away the Professor Elm's Lecture, I think. And there's an Alolan Vulpix. That came in handy. So, I am going to put another double colorless energy on a benched Zoroark. And then I can do 120 to this one, and then I'm going to Feather Arrow on the Slugma there. And then just knock out the Tapu Koko here. Take a prize card, a Rainbow Energy. Trickster GX could come in handy, but I only have the 1 Rainbow Energy, so I could never really use it in this deck. My opponent's probably going to get a Tapu Koko back. And they do. That was the risk I took knocking out that Tapu Koko. Now they're going to Lily for 4 cards. Would love to knock out that Slugma before they get Magcargo. So there's a Passimian? This is really a Passimian deck? Huh. They would need to have lots of their Pokemon knocked out before they start using Passimian. Acerola would be helpful to get rid of the damage on Alolan Ninetales GX. With that being said, I think I'm going to start setting up this Alolan Ninetales. I am going to trade again. Trade away the Counter Catcher. I think I'm going to be alright in this game. I think I'm going to win this one. And then I can use Ultra Ball. I'm going to get rid of the Rainbow Energy and the Zoroark to go and get the Alolan Ninetales. I could have also went to get a Magcargo, but I don't have any way of getting it in play. Don't have the Ditto Prism Star set up. So now I want a rare candy. I do not have any Ultra Balls left. Decidueye GX I have 2 of, so let's do this. Let's rescue, stretch, or something back. Just the one Zoroark. So I am going to actually trade. I want to get that. I don't need the one Zoroark. I want to try and get Decidueye set up there. So there's a Cynthia. That will be very handy. Cynthia here. There's a Decidueye and the rare candy. There we are. Well played, and I think my opponent is going to scoop here. What is the HP on here? 80, so I will be able to knock out Slugma next turn. Even if they get Magcargo, it only has, what, 10 more HP? So there's that. Now I am going to use Riotous Beating. Just like so. I think this would be a great way to end the video, a very long video. And again, I do apologize for the cuts. Not much I can do with the Pokemon TCG being offline, having some maintenance. So there's Shrine of Punishment. Now something like Solgaleo GX, its GX attack would heal all damage from all of your Pokemon. That would be lovely. So far, I do not see any Tapu Lele out there or any way to move damage around. They could definitely knock out at least one GX, probably 2, and get down to 2 prize cards. And the damage may add up quickly here. Unless I can get an Acerola, I would have to draw into Acerola. So I can knock out the Zoroark GX. I can knock out the Slugma here. That will be nice. So Feather Arrow the Slugma. Get my prize card. Rowlet doesn't do much for me. I can trade it away. What should I start attacking on my opponent's bench there? 70, 110. I think I'm going to start just Feather Arrowing on the Shaman. Lowest HP over there. I could use Guzma and knock out the Oranguru. What would Passimian do here? And they are weak to Zoroark, that is weak to Passimian. So I am going to Guzma up the Oranguru and knock out their draw support. I would like to be able to use Acerola, so I am going to trade away a Rowlet. See what I get. I have to be wary of having only 11 cards left in my hand, so I'm going to just save the other trade, knock out the Oranguru, go down to 2 prize cards, and I will be able to knock out Shaman next turn. So really, I would win the game here as long as my opponent doesn't get too many prize cards, and that right now they'll knock out the Alolan Ninetales GX, take 2 prize cards, and I think that is really all they can do. Unless they start attacking with the Shaman, but I don't know why they would. They're going to Guzma up something. What are they going to knock out? That is a bit interesting. They want to knock out the Decidueye. That is a good move, and they can actually knock it out. So that would, ooh, and that Shrine of Punishment hurts right there. So this is a very important turn here. I can either knock out, ooh, this might be really bad for myself. I desperately need the Acerola. I do not know if I actually have it. Do I have Tapu Lele? Yes. So I'm going to go and get the Tapu Lele Acerola for the Alolan Ninetales. I'm going to just knock out the Shaman. I think that should be good. So it really doesn't matter what I Feather Arrow, because I can knock out any of these Pokemon in one turn. So I'm going to Ultra Ball the 2 Professor Elm's Lecture. I sure hope that I have a Tapu Lele, and I do. Do I have Acerola? Yes, I do. That is good. So I think that will really help me here. Acerola. Remove the damage on the Alolan Ninetales. That was a very close game. Going to Acerola that one. And then I can put another one down. I think I'm going to actually do that. And then just knock out the Shaman is what I'm going to do. I could also get this set up. I might as well. And then use Riotous Beating here. The one advantage my opponent has is the Tapu Koko does have a free retreat cost. So it could be possible here to take 4 prize cards. They could knock out 1 Zoroark for sure. And it would be close otherwise to knock out a second GX. Nest Wall here, so they could go and get a basic. And they did. What is the energy requirement? This could be game. No, Magical Swap. Now, if they have a counter gain in hand, that will be game. They're going to escape rope it. It really doesn't matter what I put in the active. Boy, this is nerve-wracking here. If they have a counter gain, it is over, I believe. Rescue Stretcher. What are they going to get? Oranguru. So they're trying to draw cards. So they'd have 90 damage there. 40, 140. Yeah, they'd be able to do it. They would be able to knock me out if they have a counter gain. There's a Choice Band. There's a Nest Ball. So they're trying to instruct again. Can they do it? I don't think they can. There's an Ultra Ball. Like I said, they're just trying to get counter gain in their hand. There's a Tapu Koko. Have they discarded a counter gain? What did they just do there? Acrobike. So they have some opportunities here. 19 cards left in their deck, so there are a fair amount of cards left. Not counter gain, not counter gain. Instruct for 2. This would be the game right here. They would actually need an energy. They didn't get it, I don't think. Well played. They're disappointed. They would have needed an energy and then a counter gain, and they could have had it. So that was a very close ending to this final game. I can just knock out the Tapu Lele. Might as well do it here. Riotous Beating. And that is the game. So I think that will conclude this very long video. Lots of battles there. Lots of chopped up clips, however. So there's a look at the Decidueye GX Zoroark GX deck. I was able to get a Forbidden Light booster pack. Take a look at the deck checklist one more time. Once I get all of the items from winning. I have plenty of tickets that I could use, event tickets. Lots of the Pokemon coins too to buy packs. So Decidueye GX. Should be right here. There we go. I was going to say. There you have it. That Acerola really came in handy that final turn. Or that final game, that is. So there you have it. Thanks everyone for watching. As always, before you go, make sure to check out all the links in the description of this video, including links to my blog, Facebook, and Twitter pages. So thanks everyone for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.